Good morning. Today's UG Clinics is about visual acuity testing and tonometry. The visual acuity testing is usually done for distant vision and also for the near vision. Visual acuity is usually the retinal function, and in the distant vision we use the charts such as Snellen's chart, Landau's C chart, E chart, simple picture chart, and Landau's C chart and E chart are usually for illiterates who come to the OPD, and simple picture chart is for the children who come to the OPD. So usually this Snellen's chart, it has a principle where two distant points, they can be visualized in separate when they are subtending an angle of 1 minute at the nodal point. In the Snellen's chart, these letters are usually subtending an angle of 5 minutes. So we can easily distinguish between the 2 points in the Snellen's chart, that is between the two letters which are present in the Snellen's chart. The left side picture shows the Snellen's chart. It has a white background on which black letters are placed. The letters are decreasing in size as we go down, and the first letter, it is represented by 60. As we go down, it is represented as 36, 24, 18, 12, 9 and 6. Here the 60 represents that the normal person can see the topmost letter at 60 meters distance. The right side picture, it shows the examination which is done for the distant vision. Here the patient is made to sit comfortably at 6 meters distance normally, or if a mirror is placed in front of him, then he is made to sit at a distance of 3 meters. Then he is asked to close one eye. Usually the left eye is asked to close. Then we check the visual acuity of the right eye. So usually we'll be asking the patient to close one of his eyes. First we'll be asking the patient to close his left eye, and afterwards we'll be asking the patient to close his right eye so that we can check both the eyes differently. First the right eye's vision is checked and then the left eye's vision is checked. So either the patient will be closing his eye physically by using his hand, or we'll be using the trial frame. The trial frame is shown in this figure here, and this is the occluder and this is the pinhole. So this occluder first we'll be placing in the left eye so that we can check the right eye's vision first. So first we'll be asking the patient to sit in front of the Snellen's chart. So this Snellen's chart in this diagram is at 6 meters distance. If we do not have the enough space for 6 meters, usually what we do is the Snellen's chart is placed right behind the patient where the patient is seated, and there is a mirror in front of the patient where the reflection of the Snellen's chart can be seen. So this distance between the Snellen's chart and the mirror is 3 meters, and the patient is asked to sit from the mirror at the distance of 3 meters. So the total distance here becomes 6 meters at which the examination will take place. So after the patient is seated, and after we make the patient wear the trial frame and occluder in one of these eyes, we will be asking the patient to read the letters from top to the bottom of the Snellen's chart. So the patient, where he comfortably reads the last line, that last line is taken to be his uncorrected visual acuity. Beyond this line he cannot see the lines properly, or he cannot be able to read that lines. So if his reading of the last line is 18, this 18 is present adjacent to this line usually in the Snellen's chart. So then his visual acuity will be 6 by 18. So this 6 indicates the distance at which this patient is seated. So the 18 in the line which he has read at last, it represents the distance at which a normal person can see the same line. So a normal person can read the same line at 18 meters distance. So in this 6 by 18 represents the patient is sitting at 6 meters distance and able to read a line which a normal person can able to read at 18 meters distance. So his uncorrected visual acuity becomes 6 by 18. So we'll be further testing his vision by placing a pinhole in the trial frame. After placing the pinhole in the trial frame, we'll be asking the patient to read again the lines from where he can from the last line where he could see the line properly. So if his vision improves after the placing of the pinhole to either 6 9 or 6 6, so that becomes his best corrected visual acuity. So 618 is his uncorrected visual acuity and 69 is his best corrected visual acuity which we measure. So if the patient is unable to see the lines which are placed on the Snellen's chart, then we'll be asking the patient to count the fingers which will be showing him at the 3 meters distance initially, then 2 meters distance, then 1 meter distance. So if the patient is able to count the fingers, then his vision becomes counting finger 3 meters if he is reading the fingers at 3 meters, counting finger 2 meters if he is reading at a distance of 2 meters, or counting finger 1 meter. If he is unable to see the fingers, then we will be showing the hand and we will be waving the hand close to his face. So if he is able to see the hand movements, then his vision becomes hand movements, which is represented by HM. If he is unable to see the hand movements also, then we will be examining for the perception of light and projection of rays. In this, the patient is placed in the dark room and then the light is shown into the eye of the patient. After the light is shown onto the eye of the patient, we'll ask the patient whether he is able to perceive the light. So if he is able to perceive the light, then the vision becomes perception of light. And we'll be testing the vision in all the 4 quadrants of the eye. First, we'll be showing the light on the superior quadrant, followed by the temporal quadrant, then in nasal quadrant and inferior quadrant. In each quadrant separately, we'll be checking whether he is able to perceive the light in that respective quadrant. If he is able to see the light in that respective quadrant, then we are telling that the projection of rays is positive. So the projection of rays in all the 4 segments is present. So his vision becomes perception of light is present and projection of rays is also present in 4 quadrants of eye. After we check for the one eye, then we'll be asking the patient to close the other eye and then we check the visual acuity of the other eye. So in this, the diagram, it represents the distant vision. This is the bottom figure which represents the distant vision where this patient is at 6 meters and we are seeing his visual acuity. Here the small d represents the distance at which the patient is seated, that is 6 meters, and the bottom line, that is capital D, it is represented the last line where the patient is reading the letters clearly, that is 12. So here it is 12. So his visual acuity becomes 6 by 12. The figure above, it represents the near vision charting, and the chart which is used for the near vision is the Jaggers type of chart. The patient is holding this Jaggers chart at a distance of 35 centimeters, and the pinhole is usually not needed all the time to illustrate this near vision. In the near vision, usually we'll be checking both the eyes simultaneously, unlike that of the distant vision where we are checking one eye after the other eye. Near vision testing, the patient reads the chart, that is nothing but the GGUS chart, which is used for the near vision testing and kept at the distance of 35 centimeters. And commonly used charts are the GGUS chart, Roman type of chart, and then Snellman's near vision chart. In the GGUS chart, we can see that the lines are represented by the numbers assigned as J1 to J7. Roman type of chart which is having N5, N8, N10 as the representation for each and every line. And there is another chart which is Snellman's near vision chart. The left side picture is showing the GGUS chart, that is the near vision chart which is used commonly in the OPD. So this GGUS chart, it contains of different lines. So these lines are again represented by the numbers. So these numbers include N6, N8, N10, N12, N18, N24 and N36. So the patient is comfortably seated and the chart is given to the patient, and the patient will keep the chart at the distance of 35 centimeters. While the patient is reading the chart, we have to illuminate the chart properly so that he can read it without any discomfort. So, the line at which the patient can read is nothing but the near vision of that patient, that is represented by either the lines like N6, N8 or N10. Above the 40 years of age, the patient will require usually the near vision glasses. So for uneducated and for children, we'll be having different types of charts like this, which is shown in the right side picture. So these are nothing but the charts for illiterates and the charts for children. There are animal charts like this, and there are C charts, the E charts, and the dots. In this Giga chat, we'll be finding different languages for the different population who will be speaking regional languages. Color vision testing. Here the left side figure, it shows the color vision testing, and these are the charts which are used for the color vision, that are the Ishihara's charts are most commonly used for the color vision. In this Ishihara's charts, we have different plates in which the background color is different and on which there is a letter which is placed, or a number which is placed of different color. So we'll be asking the patient each time to read the number which is present on the colored background, and we'll be checking whether he is able to read the number of that colored background. Each time this background changes, and also the color of the number also changes from plate to plate. Usually this is color vision testing is used for checking the macular function. This is a macular function test. The color vision is usually a X-linked recessive inheritance gene. So the color vision is usually defective in male population compared to that of the female population. So the next topic of discussion is the intraocular pressure. This intraocular pressure is nothing but the pressure exerted by the fluids of the eye on the external cords of the eye. So this usually the intraocular pressure, it varies between 10 to 21 millimeters of mercury, and the mean being 16 plus or minus 2.5 millimeters of mercury. So the normal level of IOP is usually maintained between because of the equilibrium of formation and outflow of the aqueous humor. So the IOP should be measured as soon as the patient comes, and we take the vision. The next thing which we do is the measurement of the intraocular pressure. So there are two ways of measuring this IOP, and they are the direct method and the indirect method. Direct method of measurement of the IOP is manometry, and manometry is no longer done, and the indirect method is the digital method, that is by palpation digitally, and the indentation method which includes the Short's tonometry, applanation method which includes the Goldman's applanation tonometry, and the non-contact methods. So now coming to the first method, that is the digital tonometry. This digital tonometry is nothing but palpating the eyeball with the fingers. So in this we'll be asking the patient to look down and then close his eyes. After the patient closes the eyes, we place two index fingers as indicated in this figure on the eyeball. Then one index finger is stationary and the other index finger is used for pressing the eyeball or for indenting the eyeball. When we press the eyeball with one finger, we'll feel the fluctuation at the other finger. So, if this fluctuation which is coming from the one finger is absent or it is very light, then we call it as IOP is raised or the eyeball is very hard and firm. If the fluctuation coming from the one finger, it is feeling like a partially filled water bag, then we'll be telling that IOP is low or IOP is hypotonus. The eye is hypotonus. The method of measuring IOP using a tonometer is tonometry, and the first method of measuring the IOP using a tonometry is nothing but the Short's tonometry, and the instrument and its parts are shown in the left side figure. So first the parts are labeled as the metal plate. This is the metal plate, the metal foot plate which usually is placed on the eye. Then the metal plunger, there is a metal plunger, this one is the metal plunger. Then this is the frame with handles, this is the frame. And then there is one hammer, this one is the hammer. This is the hammer. Then there is a indicator needle. This is the indicator needle. Then this is the numbered scale. This numbered scale will show the value. Here in the Short's tonometry, we already have weights. The weights are placed here. So the weight which Short's tonometer already has is 5.5 grams of weight. 5.5 grams of weight is already present on the Short's tonometer. And additional weights we can add, that is 7.5 grams and 10 grams of weights can be added additionally. So the right side picture, it shows the technique of measurement of IOP using the Short's tonometry. Usually the Short's tonometry is nothing but a method of indentation tonometry. Indentation tonometry is nothing but it has a fundamental fact that this plunger, the plunger and the metal plate. So this one is the plunger. This plunger is usually indenting the soft eye more than that of the hard eye. Indentation is the process of pressing the cornea. So the indentation is more on the soft eye in comparison with the hard eye. Okay. Next is the procedure of Short's tonometry. In the procedure of the Short's tonometry, we'll be first asking the patient to lie down supine position. Then we'll be asking the patient to fix to a point at the ceiling. We'll put the anesthetic drops, that is 0.5% paracaine drops are placed in the eyes of the patient. Paracaine drops are placed in the eye of the patient. Then we'll be slowly putting the Short's tonometer on the cornea. So this curved metal foot plate is placed on the cornea. Before the metal foot plate is placed on the cornea, we'll be just retracting the eyelids. We'll be measuring the tonometric readings which can be seen here on the numbered scale. So first the weight which we use is 5.5 grams and we get a reading. So if we need additional weights, the additional weights can be added here. So we'll be usually measuring with 5.5 grams and the additional weights of 7.5 or 10 grams can be added later, and other measurements can also be taken in the Short's tonometry. So the next method of measurement of IOP is Goldman's applanation tonometry, and the concept of the applanation tonometry was introduced by Goldman, so it is called as Goldman's applanation tonometry. So it is usually based on the Imbert fixed law. So this Imbert fixed law states that the pressure inside a sphere equals the force required to flatten it, and that is divided by the area of flattening. So that is Imbert fixed law. So the Goldman's applanation tonometer is the most accurate method of measuring the IOP, and it is most commonly used method. So the Goldman's applanation tonometer, it has biprisms which are mounted on a standard slit lamp. Then the prism applanates the cornea area of around 3.06 millimeters. Then the technique or the procedure how we do the applanation tonometry is, first we take the consent from the patient, we explain the procedure to the patient first, after which we introduce the anesthetizing drops, that is 0.5% paraffin drops are put on the patient's eyes, and then we'll be staining the tear film of the patient using fluorescent strip. The cornea and the biprisms are illuminated with the cobalt blue filter which is present in the slit lamp. Then we'll be advancing the biprism till it touches the cornea, apex of the cornea. Then we'll be seeing two semicircles like this in the figure below. We'll be seeing two semicircles, and we'll be adjusting the distance of the tip of the tonometer till this edges of the semicircles meet. So at that point we'll be noting the measurement which is present on the tonometer. So like that we'll be getting the measurement of IOP. So this is the Imbert fixed law, that is P equals F by A. So the other applanation tonometers are Perkins tonometer, pneumatic tonometer, pulsed tonometer and tonopen. So the next method of measurement of IOP is the non-contact tonometer, which is present in our OPD, and as soon as the patient comes, we will ask him to sit and place his chin at the chin rest which is present on the patient side. So at the patient side we see this projection or this part is usually projected onto the patient's cornea, from where a puff of air comes onto the cornea. So momentarily this puff of air which comes onto the cornea, it flattens the cornea. So as it flattens the cornea, we can measure the IOP, and from the doctor's side there is a screen on which we can see the IOP measurement. So these are the methods by which we check the visual acuity and also the IOP measurement. So there are a few questions at the end of this presentation. So these questions are reading like this. So first question is, name the charts which are used for distant vision. So the second question is, what is the range of normal IOP? At what distance is the near vision checked? And the fourth question is, what is the procedure of the Short's tonometry? And the fifth question is, what is the principle of applanation tonometer? Hope you write the answers for this and find out the answers for this if you don't know by seeing the presentation. Thank you.